Welcome to a very special video version of Ding, your MMORPG podcast from the Godcast Network. I am your host, Calvin Robinson. And now we're joined by Brandon, who you may know as Branflakes, the community manager for Star Trek Online over at Perfect World. How you doing, Brandon?
I'm doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, man.
Oh, my pleasure. We're super excited about Season 7 being live, and I'm excited to show you some of the new features.
Yes, let's have a look at these new features. So before we jump down onto New Romulus, which we're hovering over right now, what are the first things people are going to see in the game when they log in? There's a few UI changes and stuff, isn't there?
Yeah, so Season 7 introduced some great new things, aside from a bunch of new content. There's tons of new content available, but there's also some things that we've updated in terms of UI and other systems and things like that. The first thing, which I think is the biggest change, is the PvE queue. So if you have default keybinds, if you press J and then click on PvE from the right, you can see the PvE queue has been completely updated. Lets you know what rewards you get from each mission, as well as the region they take place on. Another nice thing too is you can see there that it says Vault Shuttle Event. If you scroll down, it's in red, but when you queue for it, there's tech now that where you go to the shipyard, you can actually set a default small craft, so you don't actually have to switch out of your small ship. You can queue for that event. You'll go into the event, you'll be switched into your shuttle so that you can participate, which opens up the possibility for future shuttle events since it's so easy. I think a lot of people maybe didn't play them as much because it was kind of took some time to have to go to your bridge or a starbase, switch out, set up all your bridge officers and things like that. So yeah. I think that's great. Also from the mission journal, which same default key J, you can see there's a spot for the Foundry. So here, right now the Foundry is offline while we republish all the missions, and we hope to have that up soon. But you'll see spotlight missions in this mission journal section, which are missions that will be featured each week. We typically alternate between a Klingon and Federation mission. And there's a daily mission that you can run once a day for the current spotlight or any past spotlights where you'll get a reward at the end. And it's a box that you open, and there's random rewards in there ranging from blue to purple gear. So that's kind of cool. And then other updates in terms of...
Well, that Foundry Spotlight is quite cool because we actually spoke to Steve Ricosa a while back, and he said, there's going to be a whole emphasis on Foundry missions and a whole new way to get people to play them and get people to see them. So it looks like this is coming into action now with Season 7.
Yeah, it's really great. We were featuring it on the website and then on an in-game pop-up, but then you had to search for the mission. But this just makes it a lot easier for players to be able to find the spotlight that's available, click a button, and start playing it right away, which I think is really awesome. And of course, aside from New Romulus, which we're right now in front of the system, we've also... we have a whole new sector block, which is the Tau Dewa sector block, where there's tons of patrol missions. There's a new red alert that you can play through. And what's really nice about the patrols is they're so unique. If you go into the different ones, you'll notice that it's not all combat. Or, there's tons of different scenarios that really make it feel like you're watching an episode of Star Trek, or participating in an episode of Star Trek, I should say. But right now we're in orbit of New Romulus. This is where the Romulans or Remans are rebuilding their home world. Not only is it an adventure zone, so there's so much to do down there, we'll go through and take a look, but this is where you can access your fleet's embassy. So that was added with Season 7, is the embassy system. So it's an expansion of the fleet system. You have your starbase, and now you have your embassy. Pretty cool. Available, of course, both for Klingons and Federation. There's a big thing out there with asking why the Federation and Klingon embassy looks the same, other than different color banners and things like that. And that's because it's actually Romulan architecture. So okay. That's why they look the same inside. But they definitely have a different ambiance in terms of which one's Federation, which one's Klingon. So we can actually beam down to New Romulus right from the right side. And we'll go down. What's really cool is you actually bring a bridge officer with you on New Romulus for the general map So while you're exploring, you'll have a bridge officer with you. And then as you rank up in the reputation system, which is another new feature, which we'll talk about in a little bit, you'll open up instances on New Romulus that will bring you, that will require you to bring more players, more bridge officers, or you can team up with other players.
So the game, the New Romulus game for you changes the more you advance into it, basically.
Yes. So let's see. Once you're loaded, okay, there you are. So if you actually come look behind you over here, if you look down, there's a cutscene the first time you visit New Romulus, and it kind of explains the area down there. That's where the Remans are, and we really hope that in a near future update or sometime in the future we'll be able to talk about the Romulans and what they're doing and kind of visit down there. But that kind of sets the story for what's going on. I'm sorry, the Remans, what the Remans are doing. But in here, there's some great cutscenes. The first time you beam down, there's an amazing cutscene with Obasek and Datan, who kind of explain what's going on. Then there's another cutscene when you talk to Foreman Kyler about the staging area and what's really going on in New Romulus. So if we go down here, this is what we call the staging area. Now there are six main areas of New Romulus you can adventure in, and then there are sub areas in each of those. So you have the staging area, Vesta Peaks. If you press M, which is the key for the map, the area map is actually everything's in one instance. There are instances that, like I said, you'll open up as you go through the reputation. So it's a huge, massive zone that players are playing on. So you've got the staging area, Vasta Peaks, the Atali, Epo Fields, I don't know how to say it exactly, but Hual Ruins, and the Pejos Crater. So tons to do down here, but right now we're in the staging area.
And this is an improvement as well, isn't it? The map, the area map itself.
Yeah, so this is what this is a big improvement in terms of it needing to look this certain way because it's a giant zone. I mean, this is the largest zone in the game. So there's also site-to-site transports available. As you explore the different areas, you can unlock them and then transport to each of them. They're free of cost. Over here, at the big door over here, this is actually the entrance to your fleet's embassy. So you can get into your fleet's embassy through here. I don't think my character is actually in a fleet. Looks like yours is. So you should be able to get in there. Actually, I can go to your fleet embassy because I'm teamed with you right now.
Oh, nice.
So, actually, looks like maybe that's not working right now. It says you must be in a fleet to visit the embassy. But I can get to you. Give me 1 second. All right. So the fleet embassy where you come in through this doorway is the lobby. So this is the lobby. Now you'll notice it kind of looks dark, kind of bland, and you'll run projects that will unlock different aesthetics. It looks beautiful when everything is unlocked. The ceiling above you opens up so that you can see the R&D dome. The pillars have ivy and hang banners. There's marble flooring below your feet over here. It looks really cool. There's you can see in one of the blogs that was put out an image of it, and it just looks fantastic. It's beautiful. So there's different places in the embassy you can visit. There's the research and development area. There's the shuttle bay. There's the conference area, but you can take the turbolift to beam to your ship, and you can access your fleet. What?
Character has frozen.
Yeah, it looks like I just got disconnected myself. My internet. It switched networks. So
what are the differences between, say, an embassy and a fleet starbase?
Well, the starbase is your fleet's hub. The embassy is your first outpost, and we'll be looking at what outposts we can introduce in the future. There's been some cool ideas thrown around about what different kind of outposts, but it just allows your fleet to expand. It takes less time and less resources to build an outpost. too, which is great because fleets are working on their starbase, and that's definitely resource intensive and takes time. I know there's I get tweets a lot from players who are in small fleets who are finding it hard to keep up. I personally don't feel that it's a rush. I think it should be enjoyed. I know there's shinies and gear at the end and things like that, but it's going to be here. So take your time through it, enjoy it. If your fleet, only has resource to work on one, switch between the two maybe, or work on one and then work on the other. But small fleets will be able to advance just like the star bases, but the embassy definitely does take less time and resource. So, but as you can see, if you're going through this the embassy right now, there's a couple different areas where you'll be able to unlock things, and there'll be special projects just like right now for star bases. We'll announce the first one very soon, and that will start up. If you press the default key, which is U, you're going to pull up your character status, and you can actually see your reputations. So these are individual reputations that you'll be building with Season 7. And the first two reputations that we've introduced is Omega Task Force and then the Romulan Star Empire. So Romulan Star Empire, you advance in these reputations by doing Romulan missions, so around New Romulus or the dailies, the Vault Shuttle event, the different events that we put in with Season 7 that are Romulus-based, like Azure Nebula, or the Mine Trap, which is against the Salt Vampires. The Task Force Omega reputation, you're going to be building that when you run through STFs and the board content. So this is where you'll be able to get your gear that used to be random STF drops. You're now going to be able to see a clear progression of where you are with your reputation and how to advance, which is really cool. So it's very similar to the Starbase system and where you can slot projects and things like that. So it should be very familiar. Some great rewards along the way for yourself as well when you go through the reputation, including new passive abilities. You choose between a space and a ground at each tier, and then at the 5th tier you actually get a power you can activate. The Task Force Omega is a ground power, and the Romulan Star Empire is a space power. So that's kind of cool. And we'll be looking at what reputations we can add in the future. I know that in a couple recent interviews there's been talk about maybe an anti-Tholian one, or even a PvP, or maybe even a Foundry. The possibilities are now endless with the reputation system. This kind of lays the foundation for it. And what a lot of players, there's a misconception out there, is that it's very resource intensive. We listened to a lot of feedback when all this was on the Tribble test server. So we made changes, like we removed dilithium from all the XP projects for the reputation system. Also, like for marks and things like that, like if you slot a project, you'll see that it might call for only 17 Omega marks. Well, you run one elite STF and you're getting at least 60. So, you're not doing STFs over and over and over to fill one project slot. What's also nice is once you get up to tier 5, you're going to be able to exchange those marks for dilithium. We added dilithium back into the STFs as of this morning as well, so you'll be able to get dilithium from that, from some of the new dailies, and of course from the fleet actions. So we adjusted some of the dilithium that's given in fleet actions. I know that some of them are a little bit lower than when Season 7 launched, but if you look at the difficulty compared to running a fleet action to an STF, I think that's why you see some of the dilithium difference in there.
And some of that was some of that was based on player feedback, wasn't it?
Yeah, based on player feedback and our observations. So, like the STFs going back in, that was based on player feedback. Fleet actions lowered. We kind of took a look and said, okay, well, players are running through this space fleet action in 10 minutes. This dilithium costs, we're giving STFs this dilithium costs because it takes twice as long, so they're getting twice as long dilithium, somewhere around there. We look at the time it takes to complete something for the reward. That's why dilithium is a time-based currency. So here we are back on New Romulus. We can move around. So again, this is the staging area. You'll find different things that you can do around here, as well as interacting with the locals. Some really cool things too is there is duty officer missions that you can pick up by turning in certain things, and there's a lot of variety to this area. There's hidden accolades places, so you can watch out on the forums and kind of see what people are saying about the accolades. You can look in the accolades as well. But these little creatures that are running around, these are called Epos. So they're Romulan. The name Epo is Romulan for pet, basically. And they're native to Mulrihan. So Mulrihan is the actual planet's name, but it's New Romulus, or it's Mulrihan and Romulan. This is the bridge, and below it is the Atale. Again, there is a transport system, but I think it's great that we're running around it because it is so beautiful. I think the team did an amazing job on this zone. I think it's so rich and so lively, and
it is. And is this one of the largest planets as well, if not the largest planet?
This is the largest zone in the game you can visit, and we would really like to see more of these in the game. So look for that in future updates. More adventure zones. So now we're in the... Oh, go ahead, sorry.
So I was just going to say, if we were going to jump into a mission down here on New Romulus, if we were going to accept one of our reputation missions, where would it be the best place to start?
So the best place to start is in the staging, because you'll pick up a couple missions that will follow you throughout your whole adventure. Some of them are to activate all the transports. Some of them are to assist different individuals. And as you progress through the adventure zone, you'll pick up those Romulan marks. You also can, in sector space, there's a button that's on the right-hand side that says contact Subcommander Mavek, I think is her name. And she'll give you a daily to go patrol the zone. Then there's also a red alert daily, and those all give Romulan marks. This is the EPO fields. And there are some great duty officer missions here, once you unlock them, that allow you to raise EPOs. So you'll get EPOs, and then you'll basically turn them in, and they grow up, and then you can exchange them for Romulan marks to find a home, basically, for them. It's a great system, really fun, akin to the tribal breeding. Yeah. But you do it all here through duty officer missions. So pretty cool.
That's cool and unique.
Yeah. So this is EPO fields. We can actually jump down. We'll go back over here to the Atale. And there's another thing to note about New Romulus is there's some great wildlife that's been introduced. My favorite is actually down here in the Atale, but you'll run into interesting creatures, things that look like scorpions to mountain lions. What they look like, they all have their own individual name. But my favorite are the Nanovs, which is the Romulan term for mother. Because they're the mothers of the river, basically, and they're these creatures that are down here. So
that is such a sci-fi creature.
Yeah, they're really neat. They have a mother. I don't know if you've seen her yet. Actually, give me 1 second. I can kind of get us there quickly to show you around. But if you want to run over here where I'm running, and you can check out, each area has their own people that you could talk to that'll explain the wildlife that's in the area, which is great because there's a lot of interesting things you can learn about. As well, when you unlock certain levels in the reputation system, you'll open up cutscenes and lore that explain more about the area, and it's just incredible. Everything you'll learn about, and really advances the story. Let's see, where am I pointing? There we go. Here we go. All right, I'm going to bring you over to see Mama Nanov. There we go. Wow. There's Mom. So there's an accolade up in those waterfalls. I will say that. So you have to try and find that one. So this is the Atali, the river area. Aside from the creatures you're going to run into, you may run into some interesting and familiar foes, including Tholians. I'll let the players figure out the backstory behind them on why they might be there. I don't want to spoil too much of the story. But what's really cool is this isn't their native environment. Actually, it's not even an environment they can really survive in. So they're actually in EV suits, custom designed by our character artists, and they're amazing. They're really, really cool. You'll find things as you're going along, like you just picked up that sample. You'll find things that you can collect and then turn in for marks too. So it's really about exploring. It's very different from all of our other missions in terms of, in our other missions, it's kind of go to this spot here, go to this spot here. You can see it on the mini-map. Here it's really exploring. It's like some of the traditional MMOs out there, but it's nice because it's in a small contained area, so you can't get too lost. There's still some guidance. So I love the experience of being able to explore. It's very Star Trek-like, which is great. You feel like you're really participating in Star Trek down here, especially with the patrols too that are in the sector. Those are really cool.
So for the really hardcore players, there's a whole bunch of new STFs and fleet actions and events, isn't there, as well?
Yes. So I can talk about all of them. We introduced a new Vault event. It's called the Vault Ensnared. The Tholians are basically trying to basically create a web around the vault that will basically take the vault into their own dimension. So you're sent there to stop them. You fight against Space Tholians, which is really cool. There's Mine Trap, which is a 20-player ground fleet action event, and that's against you go to the mining colony. It's the same colony, or on the same planet at least, that you visited in Mine Enemy in the featured Romulan series, and you are basically there. There's been some genetically altered creatures, and they're from the original series. They're most commonly known as salt vampires. They're so cool. So that's a really cool one to check out. Then there's also Azure Nebula Rescue, where basically Tholian ships have been capturing Romulan starships, and you're sent there to free them. And then there's two new STFs. There is Into the Hive, which you infiltrate the Borg Unimatrix and fight the Borg Queen. And then there's Hive Onslaught, which is the space version, which is the second part of it, where basically the Queen embodies an octahedron, which is a diamond. And then you battle against her to defeat her. So those are really cool.
That sounds exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting. And they're definitely challenging, and great rewards from the marks and now the dilithium as well. So Season 7 is huge. I would argue that it's our largest season yet, and they're just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. There's new team members all the time. There's a misconception out there that cryptic devs are just cryptic devs and they work on whatever game. Each game has their own team. So there's the Neverwinter team, there's the Star Trek team, there's the Champions team. And each of those teams are dedicated to their games. Yes, they might share resources once in a while, but the STO team is growing at an exponential rate. So that just means more and more that we're going to be able to do each season. And it's going to be really exciting. It's a really exciting time to be a Star Trek Online player, whether you're veteran or brand new. There's so much to do. There's so much variety that really you'll be busy for hours.
Well, I think that was a very good roundup, actually, of all the new features in Season 7.
Yeah. The only other thing I didn't touch on is that we introduced the Vesta. So that's the newest starship available for Federation captains to purchase in the C-Store. It is a multi-mission science vessel made famous from the Destiny trilogy of novels. And there are 3 versions available for a single purchase or in a bundle. Each have their own unique console, and when you have all the consoles, you get even more special abilities. It's a great ship. It's very fun to fly. It can load dual heavy cannons. It's got a great turn rate for a science ship. and I think a lot of players are really excited about it. And if you own different ones, you can mix and match the costumes as well, which is really great because they're beautifully done. The designer Mark Rademacher, who actually designed the original one, is very happy with how the Vesta turned out, and so we're very happy as well.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping you would turn up in one today. I thought you would fly by in a Vesta, but
I didn't set this character up. This is my work account. I didn't set this one up in a Vesta yet. My personal science officer, I'm putting her into one. This one, he's just been in his Defiant forever. I fly the ships I fly on my TAC. I fly a Jem'Hadar attack ship. It looks like you do too. My Psi is going into the Vesta. My Engineer is in the Tholian Recluse carrier, and then my tactical Klingon is in a Garumba, and then my tactical engineer is just leveling up, but she'll be in I'm thinking of Bortosk, or the 1,000-day ship, the 1,000-day veteran ship. So
yeah, that's nice.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get a hold of one of the temporal shuttles now.
Oh, cool. Yeah, those are really cool to have as the small craft. I love the Aeon and the Rosenko.
Yeah, it's especially good now that you can so easily switch between your shuttle and your main ship.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No.
Okay, because I think that was about everything covered. That was really
cool.
Nice. So if our viewers want to tune in next week, I might give them a little glimpse of the Vesta once I've acquired one myself. So
yeah, and then if you have time, jump up with your fleet mates and friends. Get in those events; they're really fun, especially the Borg STFs. They're all actually really fun. So queue up for them. Check out the fleet actions again. The queues are popping for those because of the new dilithium rewards. They're really fun to do with your fleet or with your friends or just in the public queue.
I can't wait to go up against the Borg Queen myself.
She's a little tricky. I mean, but she is the queen, so
goes without saying.
Can't be a cakewalk.
Definitely. All right. Well, thank you very much, Brandon, for joining us today.
Oh, my pleasure. Anytime. And I enjoy season 7 New Romulus. Can't wait for you guys to see what we have coming up next, including the winter event that will be returning this winter. I believe it starts on December 8th. And runs throughout the entire month, probably into January. We've got some new and exciting things that I think players are really going to have a blast with, literally, and maybe even a new ship possibly for you to acquire. So
interesting. So keep an eye out for Q.
Definitely keep an eye out for Q. He's got some things up his sleeves that we're signing his contract for, so to say. It's going to be fun. It's going to be really cool.
Great. Well, thanks again.
My pleasure. Anytime, and talk to you guys soon. Live long and prosper.
Cheers.